Welcome to E360 TV, the live streaming and on-demand destination for influential voices and enlightened audiences. We offer trending, grassroots, and purpose-driven content across a diverse range of interests. E360 TV is more than just watching programs. We offer the ability to interact with live shows connecting audiences to real, authentic influencers and storytellers while streaming to millions of devices. Real experiences. Raw conversations. One destination for it all. E360 TV.
On July 4th, 1962, I found myself in the lost and found of mankind. Just because something finds its way to the lost and found doesn't mean that it wants to be there. Just because something finds its way to the lost and found doesn't mean that the person who lost it doesn't care for that lost item.
You are writing moments that people will learn from, grow from, and heal through for thousands of years. Together, we are co-authoring a unique moment in time. That DNA, those fingerprints, they're going to be gone. Ashes to ashes, dust to dust. But it is your story that they will tell for thousands of years, but only if you leave it. Things that do not serve you must go. The longer you wait, the more time you give them to trick you into serving them. 22 homes in foster care, everything I wore as a scar, as a shame, things that started like Velcro on my spirit. After just a few months, then years, then decades, I had believed myself into believing that they were indelible tattoos. Sometimes we have to be broken down to appreciate the view once we start getting up. I want you to leave this place and know that you have been changed. Why? How do I know it's true? Because each of you has just changed me.
Okay. All right already. I know you're like, first thing, where's his robe? It's right here. I don't have it on. Guess why? Okay. I decided, I told you guys last time, I had a pre-record that I wasn't going to try to trick you anymore and make you think. Right. So the guest today, sometimes schedules, especially high profile people, the schedules just don't make it possible to go live at 8 a.m. here in Chicago, especially when on the West Coast. And that's the case with today's guest. This is pre-recorded, so I might slip up and refer to yesterday, which was Sunday, but you're going to see this Friday. Coming up on Friday, this day will be the 20th. So for you right now, it is Friday the 20th. For us, Michael Gier, our guest, and myself right now, it's really Monday, the 16th. So see you in 4 days. Okay, so anyway, because I just did not want to miss this interview. I did not. I wanted to get this guy in here. And so why? Why was it so important? You guys know this because over the years, we've been here 8 years together, 5 days a week, 50 weeks a year for 8 straight years. And sometimes I'll tell you, I was minding my own business, just snooping around on YouTube or wherever it was. This particular time, it was LinkedIn. And I came across today's guest. And the more I looked, the more I wanted to keep looking. And the more I kept looking, the more I liked what I found. And you know what that leads to? You guessed it. Finding the courage to reach out and invite our guest today, Michael Gier. He is an entertainer. He's an award-winning director, producer. He's also a keynote speaker. And I just went in and I saw so many things, and it just resonated with me. It really did. So I thought, well, you know what? Let's bring him to the show. Hopefully he'll come, and he agreed. So I like to, I don't really read bios or that and the other. We're going to let him have a moment to pour into you to kind of establish the vibe we're going to go off of today as we continue down this road known as this interview, another illuminated conversation. So guess what? He's never been here. It's his first time. You know what we do. There's protocol in place. Put some hearts on the screen. It's our way of virtually saying welcome, rolling out the red carpet, because I hear him coming right now. He's on his way, Michael Gier. Hi, Michael Gier. How are you?
I am good. Glad to be here.
Glad to have you. I'm going to just tell you right now, my ADHD is on full blast, straight ahead, and I can already tell I'm going to try today to see how many times I can ring the bell for rhyming a word with your last name. What? Oh, my God. I need a screwdriver, but all I have is a set of, where's my plier? See? That kind of thing.
That works.
Okay, I'm kidding. How are you? Tell everybody where you're at in the world. First of all, you're where?
I'm in Los Angeles, here in California, and I'm so thankful I did not have to get up at 5 a.m. to do this, that we can pre-record. So thank you for that.
No problem, Diva. I mean, Michael.
No, just somebody who likes to sleep, Well,
I'm with you on that one. I could use some myself. How long before well, wait a minute. I'm not going to do that. Yes, I am. That's ADHD. Get used to it. How long have you been in this business that we're going to talk, the entertainment business? I mean, I get a feeling you started as a kid somehow. Did you?
Yes, you are correct. Yeah, I've been doing this my whole life. And I'm 61 as of 3 days ago.
Yay, happy birthday.
Monday, so it was this last Friday for us. So
yes.
Actually, on Friday when this is airing, it will have been a week ago. On Friday the 13th, and I was actually born on Friday the 13th. And somehow I managed to do okay through life. But so I was a kid when I got into entertaining. I loved singing as a child. I'd bring everybody into my room. And back then we had records, so I'd play a record, and I'd put the volume really low so you could hear me singing, and I'd entertain my little fans or my family members, really.
Yes.
Into my bedroom, and then I started getting some professional training as a teenager, and then started doing local shows in San Diego. Eventually starting in the chorus, but working into starring in all the different shows, and then got my first professional job performing at 17.
Whoa! What was that?
What's that?
What was your first professional job? What were you doing?
It was a group called The Bright Side, and
turn this.
It was all teens, and all of us were singers and dancers in this particular group. And so in The Bright Side, we would go and do county fairs. We did Vegas a number of times.
Wow.
Clubs. When I say clubs, high-end, wealthy clubs like La Costa, Northern San Diego. And so it was just a group of us, and we had a live band. And we toured in a big van and brought all of our equipment with us and set it all up, do a big show in front of a large audience. Our biggest audience was literally 15,000 people, believe it or not.
Wow.
But when we did Vegas the first time, I got to meet Wayne Newton because it was at the Aladdin, which he owned at that time.
Yes.
So we opened for him for this particular show. I'm not sure what the event was, but we got to meet him backstage. So that was very fun. But yeah, so that was the first professional job that I got paid. And then from there, I started auditioning for musical productions and got cast. And I did that for probably over 20 years, starring in different Broadway musicals all over the country as a singer, dancer, actor. And I'm a tap dancer, so I got to tap dance with Gregory Hines in the movie Tap. Just a lot of different things, and I loved entertaining.
Wow. So you've been out there then all your life?
Well, I'm from San Diego originally. I came to LA where I would do my auditions. The auditions, when I got cast, would take me all over the country and actually all over the world. And so I'd fly out, do a show, and then it was union shows, equity for the stage union, and then fly back to LA, audition, get cast, fly out somewhere else. And I just did that, for over 20 years. And then when I got to later in life, I was probably in my late 30s, I got cast to do a show in Los Angeles, and the job ended up lasting for 5 years. So since I was here in LA for that long, I kind of planted some roots and started getting into television and film acting. And I had my days free since we were performing only at night. And I had 2 understudies. So when I wasn't performing or wasn't able to perform because I got hired to do a television show or film or whatever, my understudies could go on stage. So it gave me a lot of flexibility. So then I really started focusing on TV film work. And when that show ended, I was just doing TV film work. And then eventually I started my production company, Gier Productions, and started producing and directing.
There we go. So what is it that you thought you wanted to do? And is it what you actually ended up? Because you're on one side of the camera now, which was the opposite of where you began. You were in front of the camera. Now you're behind the camera, but you're probably still in front of it from time to time. But primarily you're doing a lot of work behind the camera now.
Exactly. Yeah. I make a living as a director producer. So the TV film acting is more like a hobby. When I get cast every so often, it's just fun to go on set and, do the job. But yeah, I make a living doing this now, and I love it. I get to now cast and hire great actors, which I really enjoy doing. And then I produce documentaries as well. And I love producing documentaries because I get to tell a person's story or stories that help people, the viewer. And so I've really enjoyed producing things that make a difference in people's lives.
Oh, awesome. That must be what caught me and my attention. I want to ask you this, though. Since you've been out there pretty much all your life in one way or another doing this work, did you ever run? I know you probably get this a lot, but did you ever run into people that later became like common household names, pretty successful, that you might be able to share a couple of stories? You know what I mean? Yeah, I was on a set with. Well, I don't want to. You just turned 61. I don't want, that would be cruel. I was going to say, for instance, Shirley Temple. I'm just kidding.
She was such a little cute talent, wasn't she? I loved watching those Shirley Temple movies.
I know. Back in the day, you can't even find them anywhere now.
Really?
But like when you were a kid or any time in your career, did you pass? I remember, for instance, when I lived out there, Matthew Perry. Matthew Perry, at Mitzi's place, Mitzi Shore's place. He was there. He would be there all the time. And I remember they did a big thing for him. They streamers and stuff when he got the gig for Friends, and because he wasn't going to come in there as often. They're like, we'll probably never see you again, but thank you. And sure enough, look what happened with him. So any stories like that? Did you pass anybody that went on to do like really big things?
Well, yeah, I have so many friends. When we were all teens being trained together, and it was through a San Diego program called Junior Theater, and they have a big, beautiful theater in San Diego in Balboa Park, and I cannot remember how many seats it has, but it has hundreds of seats, and it's a beautiful, state-of-the-art theater. And they teach kids, teens back then and still today, how to sing, how to dance, how to act, how to get better at it. And then you actually get to be cast, audition, and then be cast in shows that are performed in this big theater with a live orchestra. So it was a great training ground for me. So like Christian Hoff, he was one of the gentlemen I grew up with. He was a couple of years younger than me. And way back then, we all knew he was going to be a star because he was so talented. And he was getting cast in the, I think it was the Disney, the after school specials that they used to do. He'd star in those. And so it was kind of cool to say, I've got a friend who's on TV, because at that point I hadn't been on TV, and I just thought it was pretty cool to know somebody who was on TV.
Yes.
But he ended up becoming a big Broadway star as well. He starred in, I'm going to blank on the name. I can see it. Well, he won the Tony Award for this show that I cannot think of. The Jersey Boys. He starred in the Jersey Boys.
Okay.
And then won the Tony Award for it. I've got a friend that I performed with. We were in Japan for a year. And this is a great story. He wanted to be in Les Mis, the Broadway musical Les Mis. He was just hoping to get into the chorus because it was such a big show. And he would rehearse all the time the Les Mis music. He'd go into the stairwell and just sing. And he had this amazing voice. And sure enough, he finally got a chance to audition, which he did. And then he didn't get the chorus. Instead, he got the lead in Les Mis, playing Jean Valjean, and toured all over the country. I think he also went international, but he also starred on Broadway. But here's an amazing guy who had a dream, worked his butt off, and then went and actually got more than what he even dreamed. So that's Mark Cherry. He's another friend of mine. If anybody remembers the
I've
TV
heard that
show,
name. Yeah.
Desperate Housewives,
which
was a huge hit, and he's done so many hits since then. But when I knew him, and we were good friends, and we're still in touch every so often. But we had lunch one day, and he said, "Yeah, ABC just bought my show. They've agreed to do 6 episodes, and we'll see what happens." Well, what happened was Desperate Housewives, which became one of the most popular shows in the country.
Yeah,
and changed everything for him. But he was a writer producer for the Golden Girls back in the day, and made a lot of money back then.
Love that show.
Yeah. Then the show ended, and eventually, he didn't get any other work, and eventually he was running out of money. And this is not anybody, it's not a secret, which is the only reason I'm telling you.
Yeah.
And so he would borrow money from his mom, and he was living on borrowed money when Desperate Housewives got picked up. And then because the show was such a success, he was the creator, the writer, the showrunner, and he was brilliant creating that show, and every show he's done since that. Clearly, he's not borrowing any money from anybody. Instead, he bought his mom a house and gave her a beautiful home. But
I know he did. Thanks, Mom. That was the best investment, but she knew all along. Yeah. So let's talk about this. You work with young talent today in a lot of ways, right? And I've had this conversation with a couple people who've come down that same kind of path that you just described for yourself, but find themselves doing the other side of the table work today. So let's talk about this. I love this conversation, this piece. How different is it, you feel, when you're working with young people today on how to get there, how to be seen or be discovered? I mean, go back 60, 70 years ago, they used to sit at soda fountains. That was the thing, and hope that someone would sit down and discover them. But nowadays, with these things, devices and whatnot, and social media and viral everything, do you think it's easier for a person to get noticed and get that opportunity, or is it even more difficult because it's so saturated? That's so, you got a lot of TikTok stars out there. You got a lot of Instagram stars, influencers. So let's go there. So is it harder for a young person to make a mark because of the influence movement, or not? What would you say?
Well, it's always been hard to break into Hollywood, and a lot of people who are big fishes in their small pond come to Hollywood thinking they're all that, and then they find out that they're in a huge pond with a lot of great stars from small ponds who are all competing for the very few jobs that are out there. Yeah. I mean, when I was doing auditions all the time, you walk into a room and there's 30 people that look just like you that all want the part. And by the time you get to producers, they're down to like 8 people you're still competing with to get one job. And that's even if you can get the audition and even get a call back to see producers. And now, speaking of influencers, as you mentioned, they will look at, if they're trying to decide between a couple of people, they'll say, well, what's this guy's following versus this person's following? And they're going to more than likely cast the person with the larger following because they'd rather put somebody in that they know is going to bring in viewers, because it's a business and they want to make money. The more viewers they have, the more money they make. And so, they do want to make sure that whoever they cast nowadays can contribute because of their viewer and their followers.
So that does make a difference.
Does make a difference, yeah. And so, that's very different than what it used to be. It's always been difficult. It's always hard to get in the door. It's who you know. It's meeting and knowing casting directors that know and like you. And then when they're looking at casting something, Michael Gier. I've done classes. I've taken acting classes with casting directors. And then I get called, a year later saying, hey, I got a great part I want you to audition for. And so because they knew me, they just called me in. In the class, I guess I stuck out. They remembered me, they put me in a file, and then something came along and they cast me. So a lot of my jobs I got because somebody knew me. I'd worked with them before, a lot of different reasons. And that's still true today. But if they don't always cast based on followers, but when they do, they do. And then other times, if they can't decide between two people and one has followers and one doesn't, they'll give it to the followers. The person with followers. So yeah, it's definitely different today.
So it does make a difference. So I got to tell the truth and spite the devil, Michael Gier, because I can tell you're 61, still good looking guy, still pretty handsome. So I can only imagine, let's go back 25, 30 years, probably a force to be reckoned with in the looks department. So I've said all that build up to see if you can talk a little bit about, has it ever come to your door where you could have gotten a job? We're talking about the casting couch. Is that a real thing? Mm-hmm. Yes, the casting couch.
Oh yeah.
So that is the real thing.
Well, let me just say, I've never experienced it. Thank goodness. I've never even. No one's come on to me. I mean, I've had a lot of people come on to me.
You're just naive and didn't get it.
I'm just, people come on to you whether you want them to or not in life, whether you're male or female. It's just the way it is.
True.
But I never had somebody say, "I'll give you."
You can have this part.
Yeah, I've never had that. No, but here's what I have had. I had a friend of mine. We actually did a show together in San Diego, The Wizard of Oz. I played the Tin Man. He was the Scarecrow, and we became good friends. Well, he came to LA and he became a top agent in a major agency, and I asked him about the whole casting couch thing, and he said, Michael, this is what he experienced as a high-end agent. He said, I can't tell you how many guys came into my office, and they said to him, great-looking, studly guys, I'll do whatever you want if you take me on as a client. And they were
not even a job, just take me on as a client.
Take me on as a client because it was a major agency, and they wanted it. So they're saying, I'll put out. And he said they would do things like they would uncross their legs and, just be sexual in a certain way to make it very clear. And he'd always say, just cross your legs back and just show me you have talent. We're not doing anything else.
And
but he said he was shocked at how many times that happened to him.
Yeah. And I've heard that from someone in his position too. And the thing was, he said that a lot of those guys were actually straight.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah. That they just, look. I'll go there for the opportunity. And so let's talk about that. Why is it a different, well, not why, scratch that, but with the people you work with today, with the young kids, when you see desperation in their eyes, and do you talk about that? Because a lot of parents, I know kids that are talented, but they're in the church. The parents are like, nope, that's the devil's workshop. We let you go out there. We let you go on the road on that thing. I went on the road and did cabaret years ago. And I remember the guy that we wanted to play, I think he was playing Maximilian. They wanted him to play and he couldn't go because his parents were Mormon and didn't trust him to go out on the road because that's where all the debauchery takes place. But I want to ask you, so when you work with young people today, how different is it? What pitfalls or what warnings do you give them compared to when you were that kid? Because it's, trafficking and all of this and all. Let me ask you this. I never thought about that. That would be a great ploy for a trafficker or a trafficking conglomerate is to be able to use to get people to.
And they've done it before. Absolutely.
Have you heard anything about that out there?
Yeah, absolutely. And there's a film I want to do. One of my upcoming films is on sex trafficking prevention. And so I've learned a lot about that topic and I've gotten a lot of training because it is a film I'm going to be doing soon. But yes, they put up modeling agencies and they bring them in one by one. And before they know it, they're grooming them for trafficking and they don't even realize it. But yeah, it's very dangerous today. It was dangerous. I think it's always been dangerous, but it's as dangerous, if not more so today. In Hollywood, there's always men I guess mostly men,
Yeah.
maybe some women, I guess, but mostly men, that, and I talk to a lot of kids and I give a lot of advice. And if somebody tells me, and I give a lot of free advice, people will contact me and say, my daughter just got this. What do you think? And so I'll look into it and I'll research it and I'll ask questions and I'll tell them what to be careful of, what to look out for, what to stay away from. There's just a lot of pitfalls and very scary things, employees, and many times it's too late before you realize you've been sucked in. And so you've got to be very, very careful in this industry. And you can't trust what people say. It's verify, trust but verify. I would say verify first before you trust. My belief is don't trust anybody, which is sad to say, but don't trust anybody until you can verify and prove that they are somebody to be trusted.
Yeah.
Because there are so many wolves out there in sheep's clothing, as they say.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So out of all the different things you do, which is your current favorite? Is it the directing? Is it the casting? Is it, the acting or developing talent? Because that's a part of it too. Let me just ask you this. Have you ever given a role to a young person or a person, period, with no experience because you saw something in them?
Yeah, absolutely. And I've done this a few times and I love doing this. I had this black guy that I cast for one of my films and he was brand new to Hollywood, brand new to LA. He had just arrived. And he came in for the audition and he was just fabulous. I was just so blown away by him and his talent.
Just naturally.
Yeah, he was fabulous. And so I cast him and, he came on set. He knew his lines. He was on time. I directed him and he took my direction perfectly, was able to make the adjustments I asked him to make. And he just nailed the role. And so I've cast him many times since because he was so good. And then I had a gal I cast for a internet project I was producing for a security company. They did virtual security with cameras and everything else. And so I cast her because she did a great audition for me. But what I didn't realize, it was her very first time on set with a speaking role, and she was so nervous. And that doesn't bother me. I'm very happy to help somebody along, make it easy for them, coach her along, give her the confidence. And she did as well on set as she did in her audition. So she nailed the part for me, but she was honest with me and just told me how scared to death she was because, I had a bunch, I think we had 30 people there in the room. So we had 30 extras. We had all the cameras, the lighting and the audio. And she was like, I could tell she was nervous. And she said, I've never done this before. I'm just scared to death. And I go, oh my gosh, you're going to be great. And I got her to relax. And I love that kind of stuff though, because I get to be part of, one, helping them to feel comfortable on set, and two, giving them the confidence to do what I've already seen them do with their talent, just to be able to relax and be able to do it. And there are many people who would be irritated in Hollywood and be like, look, don't come to my set if you're not a professional and you haven't done this before. I'm like, I'm happy to make this your first job and make you feel comfortable and give you some confidence to go out and get the rest.
There you go.
So I love doing that. Yeah. And so I've done that a few times and I thoroughly enjoy it.
So when you're casting, okay, let's go. You have a movie coming up, or let's go either go to that one or the one you've most recently finished, because I want to hear about that too. So when you're
the two I finished were documentaries, and then the next one I'm doing is a documentary, and I have a feature film with actors that we're doing that's a military film.
Okay, so well, first of all, out of documentaries and films, explain to people what the difference is. A lot of people think they know, but
well, I mean, for me, I guess the biggest explanation, without looking it up, I mean, feature films with actors are, you cast, you have a screenplay that's written, which could be based on a true story or it could be completely fictional.
Yes.
With the screenplay, and then you cast the actors for the screenplay with auditions, and then you cast the right people, which is a whole long process. And I love casting. I love finding great actors that I can bring in for the different roles. And then you go on set and you film it, and you go into post-production. Of documentaries, you're usually telling a story. Let's say it's about a band, and you want to interview the band members, and it's all live interviews, interviewing the real people. Or, if it's a story about somebody who was murdered, you're going to interview the police officers and the detectives and family members, and you're just telling a real life story by doing interviews. So that's a documentary versus hiring actors to produce and do a film.
Let me just go off topic for a second, because I just thought about something. We might have met
back
in the day. We could have. Here's why. when in the 80s, because you're a year younger than me, in the 80s when I was out there, I was a session singer at MCA. One of those, I had a spec deal back then, and I was living in Hollywood, Hollywood and Highland, right over there.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
Shout out to Las Palmas Villa Apartments. And I worked at Beck Brothers Studios.
Mm.
Are you familiar with Beck Brothers Studios?
Are they still around? I don't think
I don't think they are now, but
Yeah.
back then they were down by the Beverly Center.
Okay.
And what we did was people would brands would hire our facility. They would rent the space, and we were the ones slating and doing the cameras and getting everybody lined up so they could come in for Colgate or for Dove or whomever.
Yep.
And I mean, they'd be all the way. I mean, outside sometimes for them of these casting calls. So is it the same now? Do they still have casting calls where the lines are around the block, or is it a totally different approach now?
So it's very different now. So I'll tell you one quick story, and then I'll give you the answer. So I went to an audition for Brooke Shields. She had a TV show called Suddenly Susan.
I remember.
Which was a big hit show back in the day.
Yeah.
And, so I went and auditioned, and this one they're looking for dancers for this big dance scene. We were going to be dancing with Brooke and everything, and they were only hiring a few people. And I showed up at the audition. There were over 500 people there waiting to go in and dance. And I'm like, they're only hiring a few people. There's I'm not going to sit here all day long and wait for my turn. I really debated about walking away or staying, because I'm like, what are the chances I'm going to get it? I got better things to do with my life than hang out all day long for a job I'm probably not going to get.
Not going to get, right.
When they have so many people auditioning for just a few parts that are going to be hired, dancers that are going to be hired, principal dancers. And but I decided, just stick it out, go ahead. So I did. And I ended up getting cast. And so for me, the moral of the story was, the numbers don't matter. Just do what you can do the best you can do, and spend the time if it's really something you want to do. So I was a principal dancer, and I worked with her for a week, got to dance with her in her show on camera. They did a flashback to the late 1800s, and we did it inside of a Western bar, like in a Western town. It was just a really fun job to get to do. And but yeah, so that's what it was back in the day. So now, at least for television, they're still mostly doing auditions via Zoom. I'm sorry, that's the callbacks. What you have to do is when my agent calls and they say TV show, whatever it is, they want you to audition. They send me the sides, and then I
and you guys, sides are the scripts. Sides are the lines. For those of you who have never done it, which I have, I'm in my third movie right now. We're shooting right now. So but I didn't know it either, y'all. I didn't know it either. So
I know you're right. I got to remember that. So thank you.
Go ahead. But, so they send you the sides.
Yep. And then you get in front of your own camera, which you have your camera, your lights, and your audio. Now, of course, I had that because I have a production company, but every actor has to have that now because you do your own auditions in your bedroom usually, or your office, or wherever your little setup is, and you have to have somebody off camera reading with you. So that's, in my case, my wife, or it's your roommate, because you're not doing in-person auditions very often anymore. And that happened because of COVID. And I don't like that happened. I hate doing auditions like that. And I'll be honest, I'm not good at those kind of auditions. Before COVID, I would go in for in-person auditions. I would get cast all the time, and I would see producers all the time. I was always very lucky. Coming and doing it in front of the camera, it's just different. And I'm not as good at it for some reason.
So you feed off of the live experience.
Without a doubt. For me, the live experience, it makes a huge difference. I don't know if it's because I'm nervous. They don't see that, but there's an energy inside of me. I don't know if it's because there's more pressure. At home, I'm relaxed. I don't have any nerves. There's a benefit because I can do it a few times and say, okay, I like that one the best, and I send in the one I think is best. But when you do it live, you only get the one chance unless the casting director asks you to do it again or make some changes. Then you do it again. But you usually only do it once and walk out, and yet I'll get cast. Here, I'll get to practice all I want, do it 10 times, pick the best one, send it in, and I don't get cast. I do sometimes, but not as often as I used to. And so I'm not a fan of this whole self-audition thing, and I'm hoping they get back to more in person, because at least I do better that way.
So okay, so you do, okay, so there's that. And now let's talk about your production company. Do you have a facility? Do people bring their work to your facility? Or do you, I mean, they bring a project?
Yeah.
I don't know how people work with you when it comes to that. How does that go?
Yeah, absolutely. So there's a lot of different ways, and everybody has their own needs. So I do not have a studio that I own, and everybody comes to me for that one studio. And the reason is everybody has different studio needs, different requirements. And we're in Hollywood. I have hundreds and hundreds of opportunities in different locations that I can rent based on what my clients need. So once they contact me and we agree to work together and I know what their project is, then I'll look for the best location for that particular project. And then they get something that's perfect just for them instead of them coming to my studio that, it'd be a fortune to have something so big that could accommodate what every single person needs. So it works out great because we have airplanes. I just recently filmed on an airplane. So we went and rented this airplane set, the interior and the cockpit, and it looked all real. It used to be a real plane, but now it's just a set. But planes, subways, houses, a high-end house up on a hillside overlooking Hollywood, a crappy little dingy drug house. I mean, all these great locations and studios that I can rent based on what is needed for my clients.
Okay. We're going to jump over to another lane that you have, which shocked me when I went snooping around your world. But then we're going to come back when we wrap. We'll wrap up over on the same side, the entertainment. But let's talk about your keynote speaking. I saw that on your and we're going to give you guys all of Michael's top roads that lead to all of his work because he's got a lot of things he does. But we're going to take you over there so you can see. Talk about what kind of content people hire you for, because there's a lot of people that watch this show that I just came from one this weekend that do a lot of events and things. So who might hire you, Michael? Who might hire Michael Gier in his story or his message as a keynote speaker? What is it that you speak to?
So I did my first documentary was called Wounded Heroes, and it was a film that featured successful alternative treatments for those battling post-traumatic stress. Really focused on veterans and first responders in this film, but the treatments we featured apply to anybody battling post-traumatic stress. So I spent 3 years studying and learning the topic, looking for alternative treatments that would help with post-traumatic stress so that people could get off the medications, the prescription drugs that didn't solve the problem. All they did were push back the symptoms, and many of those prescriptions had very serious side effects. And so I thought there had to be something better. So I spent 3 years looking for better options and found many amazing options. And then that became the documentary Wounded Heroes. So I became an expert on the topic. And so that was a very big one that I ended up being hired as a keynote speaker to and for first responders, veterans, active duty military, anybody in that world that is looking for solutions because they're having a difficult time with their post-traumatic stress. I've been brought in for different big events, luncheons, screenings of the film, and then I speak afterwards, a lot of different options. And it's just been great, just to see people's lives change when they realize they don't have to live a miserable life for the rest of their lives. Yeah. There are solutions other than prescription drugs with side effects that can help them solve the actual problem and get their lives back. And that's been, again, not only producing the film, which was very fulfilling for me because it's helped so many, but getting to do these speaking engagements and also see them face to face. And after I speak, have them come up to me in tears and just go, is there really something that will give me my life back? Because the suicide rate is so high because they're so tired of not sleeping, not being able to keep a relationship, not being able to keep a job. There's just so many symptoms and things that bother them. The side effects, not being able to leave their house sometimes for many of them, which I've met many of those.
Wow.
And just to have a possibility that they might get their life back, that I've just talked to so many people, who are just like, is it really possible? And then I hook them up with different things based on what they're looking for. And then to see the change in them, it's just, again, very fulfilling for me.
How did you what was the biggest pivot that you had to make as an individual over the years in this world of entertainment? Because it has changed so much, especially with the internet. And I remember the very first video on MTV was video killed the radio star. you know, and boy, they weren't just singing Dixie, you know, and so many things have changed. But you as a person, because for instance, that when you were dancing and then you were singing, but then you were acting, and then there are all these things, and then which one of those was your major lane, would you say? Because we're going to talk about the award you won, singing or dancing in the video.
Oh, Fatboy Slim Praise You video.
Praise You, Fatboy Slim. Yeah. Yeah. Now, when you did that, were you primarily a dancer, a singer, an actor, or were you in that category? Did anyone ever say, did you promote yourself as a triple threat? Tell them what that is.
So that's a good question. So one of the things I always advise people coming into the business is be as versatile as you can. I made a living as an entertainer only because I was versatile. I learned everything I could. I learned to become a voiceover actor, which you know about. I was an on-camera host. I actually had a TV show where I interviewed celebrity guests as an on-camera host. I was an actor. I was a dancer. I was a singer. And I learned a lot of different dance styles, tap dance, and became an expert tap dancer, jazz, country, clogging, which clogging got me a job. Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, it's just so for me, it was always about, if I want to keep working, I need to be as versatile as possible. And so sometimes I would audition just for a singing job, and sometimes just a dancing job. Sometimes it was acting and singing, or acting and some dancing. I mean, it was just a variety. And having so many things I could pull from the hat of what I could do or what I could audition for allowed me to get hired more often, which allowed me to make a living at it for so long.
That's amazing.
What I think I'm the best at, I don't know. I mean, I don't consider myself a great dancer. And I mean, I was really good as a musical theater guy, as a singer, dancer, actor. I mean, I kept getting cast, starring in things over and over again from different things. And I had some amazing roles that I just loved doing. And I feel like I did a good job at them. I don't think I'm amazingly talented in anything that I really do, but I'm talented enough that they seem to like me and cast me. But I know people who are much more talented than me that don't get cast.
So that don't get cast. That's what you hear.
Part of it's marketing. Part of it's, getting out there. I've always been good at, if I go anywhere in this country or world, like when I was working in Japan for a year, I cannot tell you how many TV interviews I did, how many other performances I did outside of the theater I was working at. And when I was in Oklahoma, playing one of the lead roles in Oklahoma, we were in Tulsa. I can't even tell you there how many news shows and TV shows and morning interview shows I got myself on. I was always finding a way to be in the press and have them talk about me. And I'd find an angle that I would pitch them so they'd want to talk about me. So I was always out there, and that all helps get me work. The more talented person isn't doing that. They're waiting for the phone to call, the phone to ring,
When you were just telling that, were you in Oklahoma, the state, or in the show Oklahoma?
Both, which isn't that cool. It was a union show, equity show. I auditioned here in LA, and it was for the show Oklahoma being performed in Oklahoma. And
I did Oklahoma.
What'd you do? What role were you in?
I was marrying Sam.
Oh, good. I was Will Parker. Remember him?
Yeah, that was a lead.
Yeah, and it was the big tap dancing thing with Kansas City. I got to Kansas City on a Friday.
Yes.
Yeah, great. We did it in our 2,500 seat outdoor theater. And the whole hillside, which was the stage, they had full-on houses. They rode in on horses, guns that shot off.
Oh, wow.
It was an amazing experience doing Oklahoma in Oklahoma with that big audience. It was such a fun summer.
Right.
But anyway, being, having that versatility and marketing myself is always what I think got me the jobs. And then transitioning into TV work, I had to start over as an actor. I'd been doing musical theater my entire life. And, you're performing for a large audience, 2,500 people. Everything is big.
Sure.
Television, I was such a bad TV actor when I started out because I was doing everything big. I was acting, for the theater.
Oh yeah, there is a big difference.
Film and television, it is you can't act. It's got to be just real. It's got to be, you've got to feel it here, and then everything else just naturally happens. There's nothing. If you put it on, you're acting, and then you can tell on TV and film. That's bad acting. So anyway, I had a great acting coach. Brad Heller is his name, and it took well over a year before I got even one line I was able to say on TV, and it was a soap opera called Sunset Beach. That's now gone, but And I've done every soap. I've done lead roles now in every soap in Los Angeles. And
Not
recurring
Young
role.
and the Restless.
I was on The Young and the Restless. Yep.
Ah!
I had a recurring role on The Bold and the Beautiful. Playing a
My other
doctor.
favorite back in the day, The
Oh, yeah.
Foresters. Okay, everybody, wait a
No, I
minute.
know The Foresters. I think they still talk about The Foresters.
Yeah, they're still on there. Ridge and
All
all
of them.
of Eric.
Isn't that funny? But Sunset Beach was my first line, and I cannot remember even what I said, but I delivered a when you're getting sued, whatever it is that you deliver somebody, I delivered it to one of the stars because he was being sued, and I said, Mr. or so and so.
Oh, a subpoena. They've been served when they're
Like
you've just been served.
I was the server. Yes, that's
Yes.
it. And so I walked in and asked if he was who I thought he was, and he said yes, and I said I handed it to him, and I said you've been served, and walked out. That was my big line. It took me over a year to become a good enough actor just to say that tiny little line because
But that's when you get paid.
I got paid, yeah, and I still get paid on all these jobs from way back. I remember In Living Color. I did
In Living Color, yeah.
I did an episode of that. I still today get residual checks from that show. Isn't that crazy? Every month I have money just coming in from all the different TV shows.
Well, isn't that nice?
Or it's just kind of funny, but In Living Color, I think my last check though was like for a penny, and I'm not joking. It was a penny. They mailed it to me to give me a penny,
and the stamp was way more than
exactly processing it. The stamp.
That's so because if they don't, they're going to get sued maybe for a lot more than a penny. I want to go here real quick, because I want to show this. Do you remember this? Let me get rid of that right there. Let's take a look. This is off your website.
Fat Boy Slim Praise You.
And the winner is Fat Boy Slim's Praise You.
That's me.
Richard Coffey.
Oh, no. No. Okay. The Torrance community.
Are you up there on that stage right now?
I look so young, you can't even tell it's me. But yeah, I'm the one holding the statue that I hand over to Richard.
I thought you were just, let me move it back. I thought that was you. You were like, right. Wait, here we go. Right there with your arm up?
Yeah.
Oh my God. That's what I was trying to capture. Now we can come back here. Now you can tell us, what does it feel like? How does a person all those years ago, when you look at that and then you look at it today, do you feel some people that was them back then, and today, because they didn't do anything else or whatever, they would have trouble watching that. You know what I'm saying? What's it do for you when you look back over your shoulder to moments like that? Do you feel like, wow, I'm right where I want to be because I'm still happy and I'm still doing the work? And then, it didn't have to turn out that way. What would you say, Michael, is the thing that makes you still today able to say, you know what, I loved it then and I love it now?
Yeah, and that's definitely the case with me. I loved everything I've done over the years, and I love what I do now. There are things I do miss that I'm not doing now. For example, stage. There's nothing like being on a live stage when I was starring in Broadway musicals, singing, dancing, and acting in front of a live stage. There's nothing like that. And I haven't done that in a while. That's probably the only thing I miss. Because having a live audience, sitting in your dressing room, hearing the audience, the stage manager over the speakers, 30 minutes.
3 minutes, right.
To places, and then they count down 5 minutes to places. And then you walk over to places and you can hear the audience murmuring on the other side of the curtain. And I mean, just that excitement. And then when you're on stage, man, it's live, just like your show normally is. If you mess up, they're going to see it. And I've done that before. I've fallen on my butt in the middle of a tap routine and had to get back up and keep on going with a smile on my face. But that's live theater. That's what's exciting about it. And so what you just showed was at the MTV Awards way back in 1999. And I was in a music video called Praise You. Fatboy Slim is the artist. It was a huge worldwide hit, the song and the music video. Spike Jonze, if anybody knows who that is, major Hollywood director, he cast me. And he was in the video with us. He played a character named Richard Coffey. and they hired us. It was a big major audition here in Hollywood. They hired 5 people. The choreographer was the 6th person, and Spike Jones was the 7th person in our fictional Torrance community dancer group. And we performed in the music video. It became a huge worldwide hit. And then we were nominated for 4 MTV Awards. We won 3, and they asked us to perform live at the MTV Awards.
That's awesome.
We did. And so talking about an experience, you know, that was one of many highlights over the years. And I just love to look back and see it. And it's exciting. It brings memories. I just saw Spike Jones recently, probably 6 weeks ago or so. I just interviewed him for something. And it was great to see him again. And he's doing great as an Academy Award winner. And he's got all these major movies he's produced with all the biggest stars, and very, very successful. And such a nice guy. But anyway, so I love what I do now as a director and a producer. I love finding great actors and casting them and working with them and helping them. And I love telling people stories and changing lives with the documentaries I produce that helps the viewer. And so I do love what I do, but I do miss musical theater.
How did you get through all of this success and all of these great experiences over all these years and still not be just devoured by ego, to the point a lot of people that have done a lot less than you've done would never agree to come on a little known show like Bathrobe Moments, but nonetheless, here you are. What is it that makes you, that keeps you? Let's just say that, because everything you've lived is what makes you. But what is it that keeps you right there where you're like, I'm still the Michael, you know, because you must run into people that didn't go anywhere, or just like you run into people like your other friend you just mentioned, who, you know, has gone on and done all kinds of things, Oscar winning and that sort of thing. What's it like when you run into people from both sides of the experience and they say, well, you haven't really changed a bit. You're still the Michael we knew. How's that make you feel? And how do you think you pulled that off, where you didn't just lose it all to the ego monster?
Yeah, I don't know if I have an answer as to how. I think I've just always considered myself blessed and very lucky to do what I do. I don't think I'm special. I've never thought I was special. I think, like I said, I don't think I'm the most talented person. I've never thought that. But I worked hard, and I did what I felt like I needed to do from a business point of view to get seen, marketing myself. And I did have talent, you know, obviously, because I wouldn't get cast otherwise. But obviously, but I think just I don't know. I just never really thought of myself as all that, you know. And it's not
that's probably it.
I'm not downplaying myself either, you know. I think everything I look back at that I've done, I'm kind of shaking my head going, I am so excited that I got to do that. I'm so excited that they actually cast me, that they give me that opportunity. And I just see it all as a blessing. I'm a man of God. I'm faith, you know, is really important to me. Sure. Maybe that's part of it. I don't know. I just know that I thank God for my talents. I thank God for all the opportunities he's opened up for me. And I don't consider it being anything I've done other than the business aspect. It's just all been a blessing. I just count it all joy. Yeah, I'm just fortunate, man. And it's nothing. There's no ego. It's like I didn't give myself all of this. You know, I feel like I was lucky to get it. Doors open for me, and they for some reason cast me, and I'm glad they did.
And here you still are doing it. So, on the screen right now, you guys, are 2 of the roads that lead to Michael and his work. Both websites. The up top is michaelgier.com, and that's where you're going to go, and you're going to find how to hire Michael as a speaker, his production work, all the different things he does with the film industry. You're going to find all that there. And then the bottom one is where they go. Explain what the Gier Productions website is all about. Who's that one for?
So Gier Productions is my production company, and it has everything that we do, whether it's the documentaries, the feature films with actors, TV commercials, nonprofit videos, website videos. You know, we're a full service production company. I've got clients all over the world, and that's all for the company. And then michaelgier.com incorporates myself as an actor, TV host, voiceover, director, producer, everything. It encompasses everything that I do.
Everything. Okay. And also, you can find Michael Gier on LinkedIn. And there you go on Facebook. Listen, you guys, I don't expect you to do screenshots or remember all that. We're going to take the liberty of dropping all 4 of these connectors inside your comment section for easy access immediately upon today's conclusion, which isn't just in a few minutes. So it'll be there. Get over and check things out. Anything coming up that you want to promote or let us know about, or maybe even come back for when it's in the can.
Yeah, I'd love to come back when we're ready for this. I've got the sex trafficking film that I want to do, and I've got one on suicide prevention as well. Those are 2 really big projects that are important to me that I'm working on now.
Beautiful, beautiful. We look forward to it. I just am so grateful. I could spend all day. I can only imagine what a tour through your home would unearth as far as the memories and the things. You could probably spend all day pointing to this and pointing to that and just taking people back to those divine memories. That's what they are. They're divine. I just love it. It's such a blessing when you talk to someone like you who just can point through everything they've done and say, you know what? It worked, you know what I mean? And and the way you say, I'll tell you what stuck with me today when you were like, I know I wasn't the most talented person at all times, but it didn't stop you. If more people would just somehow hold on to that little morsel right there, man. And you know what? Someone told me that once. They were like, listen, you know that's true, that you don't have to be the most talented. Turn on your TV, watch it for 5 minutes. You'll see 100 people walk through the screen that have 0 talent, but there they are because they worked hard to get there. Absolutely. Great. Listen, I just absolutely love it. If you're trying to get somewhere, if you want to know more about this work, be in front and behind the camera, this might be your guy. So there you go. Michael Gier, thank you so very much. We are so appreciative, and we really want you to come back for both of those pieces that you were talking about, the suicide prevention. And what do you have the names? What are the working titles? Can you tell us?
I got to see if I can remember. One is called the suicide prevention is Aftermath. Called Aftermath.
Okay.
And then Hidden in Plain Sight is the one for sex trafficking.
Perfect. Hidden in Plain Sight. Thank you so much. Listen, I just want to thank you again. And I want to thank all of you out there for coming aboard. And of course, this is pre-recorded, but thank you for watching it. Michael, we're going to get you a copy of it when it's out there. It'll be airing this Friday coming up. And I believe that is the 20th. Yes, the 20th. And again, happy belated birthday, number 61. You look great and you're doing great things. Again, thank you from the bottom of our hearts here. Thank you so much. And you guys, listen, I will see you when you're watching this. It'll be Monday. Okay. But because it's really Monday, I'll see you tomorrow. So I'll see Monday and tomorrow. Figure that one out. Listen, as always, get out of here. Have the best day ever. Get out and find 1E and 1R. Take everything you already are. Nice to nicer, kind to kinder, bright to brighter, smart to smarter. Do that. And then give it away. Help change the world and ease some suffering wherever you find yourself. Won't you please? I'll meet you, God willing, tomorrow morning over on the front porch, where together we'll have another illuminating conversation. And I tell you every day as we get out of here, Dr. Loren loves you, and there ain't a damn thing you can do about it. I'll see you. Don't let my screen door slam on the way out. Michael, thank you so much, Michael Gier. Great guy. Thank you so much. Bye, everybody. Have the best day.
Baby, I'll show you mine. Show me your soul. Honey, it's way past time. How expensive do I have to be? Need I spell it out before you get it, baby? Show me your soul. And honey, I'll show you mine. I'll show you mine. Sign. Shamelessly displaying my state of mind.